The second practical advantage of following open science principles relates to you reaching a broader audience. When being an open researcher, you are more likely to reach other target groups than just your fellow scientists. For instance, practitioners in your field may be able to apply your findings if you share your data and code openly and publish open access. Many practitioners do not have access to university libraries and would therefore have to pay to read your paper. If you publish open access, they can read about the results of your research and directly apply it in their work. Similarly, your research might have a bigger impact because it affects the work of policymakers. Also, journalists are more likely to pick up on your work and report on it. Check it out for yourself. You will see that the research articles that make it to the news are very often open access publications. Another part of your audience might be the general public, who can access your findings. You might be surprised to see how they find a benefit from your research. One of the simplest examples being the people that read about your research in the newspaper. Newspapers generally just report on the main results of a study and people could really want to know more. If you have published open access, they can look up your paper and read the original work themselves. The importance of having a broad impact as a researcher is increasingly being recognized by policymakers that evaluate scientific performance. You may have heard of next-generation metrics, also known as old metrics. Next-generation metrics refer to the use of alternative metrics beyond just citation rates to assess the quality of a researcher or research department. Next-generation metrics acknowledge that the ways in which scholars express themselves are becoming more diverse. When assessing the quality and impact of researchers, it therefore is important to also take into account, for example, whether researchers share raw science, like datasets, code, and experimental designs, how often their papers are being read and downloaded, how often they are tweeted about and retweeted, how often they are cited in the media, how often they are referred to in blogs and other social media, etc. These new generation metrics are not just fun for you to have a broader impact, the appreciation you get for it is actually measured. Another advantage of becoming an open researcher is that you will have an easier job meeting the requirements of the institution or company you work at, and important funders that fund your research. They might require that you open your data and publications, and maybe not just your data, but also your code and the software that you have used. The TU Delft, for example, wants to be open and deliver science to society. Since the 1st of May 2016, all TU Delft researchers must at least publish the final accepted author's version of a peer-reviewed article in the TU Delft institutional repository. Our university's aim is that its researchers share each of their publications immediately after acceptance. Such requirements might also apply to you at your institution or company, so it might be worth checking that out if you have not already done so. Another important advantage of being an open researcher is meeting a scientific journal's requirements to share your data openly. Some journals actually only review and publish manuscripts if the authors agree to make all data that can't be included in the journal itself to be freely available in a database. For example, 2 journals from the Nature Publishing Group, the ISME Journal and the Journal of Exposure Science and Environmental Epidemiology, have such requirements. In addition, the Nature Publishing Group has the policy that supporting data must be made available to editors and peer reviewers at the time of submission, so that the manuscript can be evaluated. All manuscripts reporting original research published in Nature journals must include a data availability statement. Also, all journals published by the PLOS, the Public Library of Science, that only publishes open access journals, require authors to make all data underlying their findings described in their manuscript fully available, without restriction. And the number of journals that request the sharing of data is likely to grow. Journals increasingly want to showcase that they publish good science.